Alright, as you can see, let me get back a little bit. We got the bike back up in the stand now. We did the engine mounts. Not a big deal. And also, when you're putting it in there too, watch all your wires. I did break one wire when I was taking this motor out the last time. But you can see I just kind of spark plug wires, everything you want to try to keep out of the way. And now it's just the reverse of how we took it apart. You know, it's you got your clutch slave cylinder. When you put that on, make sure you put a little bit of grease right down on that ball there. And the reason you do that is that shaft will spin with the clutch. You see the shaft comes out. That shaft will spin with the clutch. So you need a little dab of grease on there. I changed that oil seal. And I also changed the oil seal behind the shifter. And that shifter lever I was talking about in another video, that you got to make sure it's on the engine. Because if it's not, it's hard to see, but there's no clearance, very little clearance between that arm and the frame. You won't have room to get it on. So you got to make sure that linkage is on. And on that linkage, it's probably hard to tell with this camera. Let's see if we can get it. Okay, you can see that little dot on the end of the shaft. The dot on the shaft lines up with that seam at the top there. That's how you know where the proper position to put it in. And the same with the lever up here. You see there's two dots. One dot lines up with your heel shifter and one with the toe shifter. So when you're putting it together that way, you know you got it lined up properly according to them dots. And according to that dot there, lined up with that seam. That bolts go. Make sure you have that on. If you don't have that on, you won't get it on. You'll have to back the motor back off. And now our drive shaft is on. We can take this rubber boot and we can fold it back now. But we'll do that later. But yeah, now it's just a matter of putting stuff together. Every wire's got a place to go. Now, if it's your first time taking a motor apart and it might be apart for a while, go ahead and take a bunch of pictures where stuff goes. Me, I don't really take any pictures. I just sort of figure it out as I go along. Let me set the camera down. Well, it ain't level, but I just sort of put stuff together. I mean, I'm pretty just good at it, I guess, a natural ability, I don't know. I usually just figure out, but every plug's got to have a connector. And you want to take notes how the wires are run, especially under that side cover. You don't want any wires chafing. You want everything secure. But if you need to take pictures, now I'm going to go ahead and start with the motor, putting the motor in, taking it out. That step, after you have everything else unbolted, is not that big a deal. But it does help to have a friend. You know, and as you're taking the motor out, you know, pull it a little bit, check for connectors, check for wires. Because even me, I've done these a bunch of times, I still miss something. And I did, the wire coming off the kickstand, I did break it. So I've been doing this a long time. That wire broke so easy. I didn't even know it until it was off. Let's see if we can find it here. Yeah, here it is right here. I broke the end of it right off. That wire is so thin I didn't even feel it. When I slid this motor out, it went think, broke right off. So really, you know, even experienced guys make mistakes sometimes. Not that I'm experienced. And you see when I took the motor out, I kind of hung stuff. Like this is your brake. The passenger side brake lever. I just draped it over the bike, over here. I didn't want to undo the hydraulic line. Same with the hydraulics in here. You could take this line loose, but then you're going to have to bleed the system again. And I had just bled the system, so I decided just to leave it on and I set it aside. So, you know, everything you just want to try to make sure everything's out of the way. Watch your cables. Like we got our choke cable here, and that'll run on this bike. It's got a bracket someplace. I can't remember where it mounts. It mounts on the other side. That's right. It mounts by the ignition switch. Yeah, it'll mount by the ignition switch here. But it's not hard to figure out. Just take your time and put it back together the way you took it apart. Let me set this camera down and we'll talk a little more and I'll let you all go. But if I can find a spot to set it where I can actually talk to y'all. Alright. But that's how you put it together. I mean, it's just reverse like anything else. Take it apart. Keep track of your nuts and bolts. You know, put them in different packages, label them if you need. Sometimes it gets confused on what bolt goes where. Keep in mind, anytime you take the cover off the engine itself, if you're not sure where to order the bolts, go and stick all the bolts through the holes. And they all should when you got the cover on the bike, all the bolts should stick out about the same amount. You know, if for instance, if one's sticking out, you know, a quarter of an inch, they all should stick out a quarter of an inch. If you got one sticking out further or one that's all the way almost flush, you know, you got them in the wrong order. Take your time, you know, try another pattern, but they all should thread in. Same size bolts should thread in about the same amount. I guess if you got any questions, I'm going to put this together. Just like I said, it's nothing more than a bunch of connectors. You know, I think it's just going to go right along, and I'll show you when we get it fired up. I'll show it to you. And if you have any questions, holler at me. And also, on these Kawasaki 1500s, like I said, any questions? If you got parts you want to sell, I'm looking for a factory exhaust for this one. It's a 2005 Classic. If you upgrade into Vance Hines pipes, I'm looking for some factory pipes for it. The pipes that came out are straight shots, a little too loud for my taste. I got Vance Hines in my other bike. But anyways, questions, send them to me. I'll answer them. If it's something you want to know how to do, how to change a wheel bearing or how to do something, maybe we'll make a video, we'll do one, and we'll show you. All right, until next time.